Hello, my name is Verity Paz and I have been working in fertility for 15 years. I'm a fertility coach, fertility reflexologist and clinical hypnotherapist. And over that 15-year period, I have helped hundreds of couples to conceive. And today I want to go back to the basics of fertility. So if you haven't been trying for a long period of time, but you really want to understand what your body is doing and the signs and signals that your body is showing you when it is fertile, then this video is for you. So let's go back to basics. Most women have a cycle from anywhere between 1 to 35 days. Now it might be shorter than that, it might be 28 days or 27 days or 26 days, or it may be slightly longer than that. And I've learned over the years that there isn't a normal cycle as such. So ideally, for the purpose of this video, I'm probably going to talk about the most normal cycle that there can be, and that's a 28-day cycle. So day one of your cycle is the first day that you see bright red blood. So that would be day one of your cycle. Your lining sheds, so you have a bleed. And then what happens is something very, very clever. Your brain sends a message to your ovaries saying, I would like a new egg, please. And that's something called follicle stimulating hormone, or FSH. So the brain says a message, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, to the ovary saying, can I have an egg, please? Now, in any one cycle, a woman could have anywhere between 1 and 30 eggs sitting in her ovaries. And that largely depends on age. So the older you get, the less eggs you will have every month. And every month it changes. So let's say, for argument's sake, this lady that we're talking about has 5 eggs on one side and 5 eggs on the other side of her ovaries. And the body's sending follicle stimulating hormone saying, I would really like a mature egg, because we want that egg to be mature, not immature. We want it to be mature so it can easily be fertilized. So that one egg, hopefully, will mature, and that will send a message to all of the other eggs saying, we don't need you, we've got a mature egg. And then what happens is the brain very cleverly sends another hormone to the ovaries called luteinizing hormone. And that will hopefully, it doesn't mean that we are ovulating at this point, our body is trying to ovulate. So luteinizing hormone is the hormone that we produce. And when we pee on a stick, it tells us that we are about to ovulate kind of in the next 24 hours. So what happens is luteinizing hormone is produced, and hopefully your body will release an egg. And the egg sits in something called a corpus luteum. So the egg gets released into the fallopian tube, and hopefully there's loads of sperm waiting for that egg to be released already in the fallopian tube. Because remember, sperm lives 3 to 5 days. So you want the sperm there waiting. So the egg is released into the fallopian tubes, and hopefully there's loads of sperm ready to pounce on it. And this little shell is called a corpus luteum, and it sits in the ovaries and it pumps out something called progesterone. So the beginning of a woman's cycle, everything is about estrogen. It's about building a lovely lining. It's about helping a nice mature follicle. And then the egg is released, and this corpus luteum sits in the ovaries and it pumps out a hormone called progesterone. And this hormone is incredibly clever. This hormone sustains a pregnancy, because when an egg is fertilized, a placenta just doesn't appear and make, feeds that embryo, that developing embryo. What happens is this hormone progesterone pumps out from the ovaries, and it's this hormone that keeps a pregnancy going until the placenta takes over. So What we essentially want in each part of the cycle is hormone balance. We want lovely estrogen at the beginning, and then we want lovely progesterone in that, what I call the 2-week wait. So generally, once you've ovulated, you will then have a period, if you're not pregnant, about 14 days later, anywhere between 12 and 14 days later. And so if you ovulate on day 30, then you will have a period on day 44, for example. And that's generally the rule of thumb, that the body will shed its lining 14 days later. And that generally means that progesterone levels are good enough. So if, for example, you ovulate and then you have a period quite quickly after ovulation, that could be an indicator that your progesterone levels aren't quite getting high enough. So you want to make sure that when you have all of these hormones, you're feeding them correctly. And there's lots of videos that I've done on diet and nutrition that you can have a look on my YouTube account, or you can have a look on my TikTok account. So there's plenty there for you to look at. But I just want to explain today the basics of fertility. Now, how a woman feels while all of these hormones are going up and down in her body is really interesting. So obviously when we have our period, we always feel a little bit low and a bit run down. That's generally because estrogen and progesterone have just plummeted, and that can make us feel not very happy. And then at the beginning of a new cycle, estrogen comes up. And if you were to go to a party, estrogen would be the life and soul of that party. It would never want the party to end, okay? So that hormone makes us feel really good. And then we get luteinizing hormone, which is the hormone that helps us ovulate. That hormone also makes us feel quite good, and it also gives us a bit of a higher sex drive. So testosterone kicks in there as well, and we get a bit of a higher sex drive. And what also happens to our body is our mucus changes. So where you're used to seeing mucus, cervical mucus that might be pale in colour or white or slightly thick, our cervical mucus changes to what we call fertile cervical mucus, where it becomes clear like egg white. And it's that mucus that keeps sperm alive. So if you're trying for a baby, really look out for that mucus, because it's so important, and drink lots of water around that time, because the more water you drink, the better condition that mucus is in. So try and make sure you're drinking 2 litres a day around ovulation if you can, because your body needs to be hydrated well enough to produce this clear, stretchy cervical mucus. And you can almost see it, it's stretchy. And it's that lovely stuff that keeps sperm alive. And then what happens is, obviously, you produce this hormone progesterone, and it's this hormone that makes us feel quite level-headed. It's quite a good time, but quite calm. It's quite a good time to make life decisions in the second part of your cycle, just because progesterone makes us feel quite level-headed, quite well, quite good. It's really important to try and sleep well and keep stress levels low, and eat during the second part of your cycle. So I'm not a big fan of women fasting in the second part of the cycle, because progesterone likes a few more carbohydrates to be able to function normally. So I hope that really helps you understand what's happening to your body as a female, especially when you're trying for a baby. Sign up to our newsletter, the link's in our bio. So we send loads of lovely free stuff through to you. We don't bombard you, we just seem to send emails once a month, just to give you a bit of help on your fertility journey. And obviously we offer some fertility coaching as well if you're a bit lost. Lovely to see you all.